Runaway judges versus the Trump agenda. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Today at CPAC, the president rallied the conservative faithful and urged them not to let up as the midterm elections approach.
Don't be complacent, okay? Don't be complacent, because if they get in, they will repeal your tax cuts. They will put judges in that you wouldn't believe. They'll take away your Second Amendment, which we will never allow to happen.
Judges matter. Let's take gun legislation. Now, even if the president and the Republican Congress are successful in pressing his agenda, life-tenured judges with radical outlooks can undo it all. And that applies to a whole host of issues. And this is why it's so critical for President Trump to nominate and see confirmed as many judges as possible on both the district courts and the appellate courts. Now, since Trump took office, check this out. Major initiatives have been stalled or stopped altogether by the courts, including his travel ban on some majority Muslim countries, his plans to withhold federal funds from those sanctuary cities, his plan to rescind the DACA program, and just yesterday, his plan to end Obama-era oil and gas emission regs. And let's not forget the ban on transgender people in the military, serving in the military. So during just his first 9 months in office, cities or states filed 24 lawsuits against the president. According to Reuters, Obama was not subjected to similar lawsuits during the same time period. Now, a few weeks ago, New York District Court Judge Nicholas Garofis, he was a Clinton appointee, blocked President Trump's decision to end Obama's DACA program. He's the second federal judge to do so. Now, Judge Nick Garofis is an interesting character. When the DACA case landed on his bench last year, he reacted like an MSNBC pundit. He claimed that the president's ending the DACA program was, quote, arbitrary and capricious. Gracias, Judge Luis Gutierrez. This judge has a history of editorializing from the bench. And, of course, it ends up being like legislating from the bench. Americans didn't elect Judge Garofis to change our immigration policy. Certainly not the authority of the executive to enact sensible immigration regulations. He was appointed to be a check on other branches of government, not a replacement for them. So if Judge Garofis wants to get into legislating, he should take off his long black robes, pound the pavement, and then run for office. And, by the way, this isn't the first time that that judge crossed the line from impartial jurist to policymaker. In 2012, he imposed racial quotas on the New York City Fire Department as a way to address the complaints from minorities who failed the department's entrance exams. Now, declaring the fire department a, quote, bastion of white male privilege, Judge Garofis required the department to hire 2 black firefighters and 1 Hispanic for every 5 hired. Now, parts of his ruling were later vacated by the appeals court that questioned his impartiality. They barred him from presiding over future trials related to the case. That's how bad it was. Sadly, no one barred him from ruling on the DACA program. And frankly, he should have recused himself because his liberal bias was that obvious. Garofis sat on the bench and repeatedly slammed the president for his, quote, recurring, redundant drumbeat of anti-Latino commentary. Recurring, redundant drumbeat. Isn't that whole thing redundant? Oh, my gosh. It's just bad writing. Now, come on. Judge Garofis was blatant in his disdain for the president and his policies. Then the chief judge of the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, Roger Gregory, wrote the majority opinion blocking the president's travel ban. Now, it's a different circuit. Now, it's the second time the Fourth Circuit has pulled this routine. This time, Judge Gregory, a George W. Bush appointee, believe it or not, claims that the president's travel restriction on 6 largely Muslim countries is unconstitutionally tainted with an animus toward Islam. For 285 unbelievably twisted pages, the ruling tries to turn Trump's campaign rhetoric into a legal argument. Gregory writes that the travel ban drips with religious intolerance, animus, and discrimination. Sounds like he's talking about his own opinion. They say the ban is an attempt to establish a national religion that excludes Muslims. That's what the Fourth Circuit ruled. Well, we're going to see how that reasoning holds up at the Supreme Court, which, by the way, has just announced that it's going to review these travel ban decisions on April 25th. Political grandstanding by jurists of the type that we just talked about, whether it's from the bench or in public forums. We saw what Justice Ginsburg said the other day about the bullying during the election and Hillary and the sexism. All of that ends up undermining confidence in the courts, and it certainly compromises our view of an impartial judiciary. And that goes, as I said, for the notorious RBG, Ginsburg, as well. The left wants to do through the courts what they couldn't achieve at the ballot box. It's so transparent to me. Now, Obama certainly knew this game. He was able to stack the federal bench with 334 judges. Clinton appointed 387 judges. And President Trump, well, he understands the threat posed by an activist judiciary. The president has had to deal with activist judges working against him ever since he took office.
I'll be criticized by them for speaking harshly about our courts. This new order was tailored to the dictates of the Ninth Circuit's, in my opinion, flawed ruling. This is, in the opinion of many, an unprecedented judicial overreach.
Now, there are currently 147 vacancies on the federal courts, 122 in the district courts, and 17 at that important appellate level. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell did a fantastic job in 2017 getting Trump nominees confirmed, a record 12 appeals court judges. Now, Obama only got 3 in his first year, so that's really good. Nevertheless, a lot of work remains to be done. The only way to counter the excesses of life-tenured judges like Garofis is for Trump to fill the bench with his own jurists, men and women who stay within their constitutional boundaries. Meanwhile, we'll continue on this show to expose the arbitrary and capricious rulings of judges who frustrate the public will and exceed their Article III authority. And that's The Angle.